Hello and welcome to another podcast. I have a surprising amount to show you. I was a little bit worried that this week was going to be a bit of a non-podcast because, as I said last week, my main focus this week was on deadline knitting, but I have managed to finish something, which I'm quite surprised about. And I also made a progress on another project that I hadn't planned to work on, courtesy of a surprise cinema trip. And I finished the second project as well, but that's for my deadline, so I can't show you that. Plus, I got a couple of gifts that I was given at a recent workshop to share with you. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you're new here, my name is Anniken. I design knitting patterns. I teach knitting workshops online and in person, and I sell yarn through our website, YarnAddict.co.uk. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. As I said, I have finished something this week. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. Pattern is nearly finished as well, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But before we do, let me just go through some upcoming events. In 2 weeks' time from the day this video goes live, actually 2 weeks from today when I'm filming this the day before it goes out on YouTube, we're off to Unravel. So we leave 2 weeks today. It's Valentine's weekend. Is it 13th, 14th or 15th? I think the 15th is on a Sunday, I think. But it's in 2 weeks' time. Details will be in the description below. I am having a stall where I was last year down in the cellar bar. There's 2 rooms on there, and we're in when you come down the stairs from the main entrance, we're in the room on the left against the back wall. Perfect location last year because it made it really easy to display samples and stuff because I had a wall behind me. So we had 2 long tables, and then we could sit behind the tables, so we're kind of out of the way. And then I could hang samples on the wall behind me, so that was really useful, because that's always a problem because I don't have my own grid wall and stuff like that because I don't do that many shows. It's quite often difficult to work out what to do with my samples. So I've started preparations now. I sat down the other day to count all my patterns, spread them all out over the bed, because what happens is I count all my patterns, print new ones, sort it all out into 2 boxes before I do a show. And then at the end of the show, when we pack up, Simon said, "Can I just put all this in? Do they need to go in alphabetically?" And I'm like, "No, just put them all in." Because I know for him, putting them in alphabetically will be a bit of a pain in the backside. So we just put them all in. And then when I get home, the idea is that within a couple of weeks, I sit down and go through them. Well, I started going through them. I've gone through some of them, but not all of them, when we came back from Yarndale, which was my last show. And I also had a stack of patterns in here that I printed for workshops and things. So I got them all in on the bed and started going through them all. I spread them out in piles on the bed, and then I was counting them, putting them back in their boxes. And I printed out my spreadsheet. I was making notes on how many I had of each pattern. When I came to the bedroom to do this mid-morning on Tuesday, I noticed there was a bulge in the paint on the wall. The paint was kind of bulging out a bit. It looked like a blemish, like the size of my hand. So I went over and just poked it, and loads of water ran out. I was like, oh, we obviously have a leak somewhere. So at lunchtime, Simon went in the loft. Now, we had loft insulation put in years and years ago. There was a period in the UK where the government was really encouraging us to put loft insulation in. We've been here for 29 years, and I can't remember when that was. Maybe 20 years ago? I've no idea. But they basically just put big, thick layer, I can't remember how big it was, of loft insulation over our floorboards. And the loft is not completely covered in floorboards, it's only partially covered. And we had to take everything out of the loft, and then we didn't put anything back in afterwards. All the stuff that was in the loft is now in the garage, because it's easier to get to and everything. So Simon knew how to be careful up there, because there aren't floorboards everywhere. Anyway, we were trying to work out where in the loft this leak was. I was like knocking on the ceiling in the bedroom, and he was knocking on the floor upstairs. We worked it out, so I went back out in the hallway so I could hear him. So I was next to the loft hatch so I could hear him talk to me. And suddenly I heard a crash, ran into the bedroom, and about 1 by 1 meter piece of ceiling was in our bed. Luckily, Simon was not. He did not fall through the ceiling. So I was like, get down there quickly. So we now got a hole in the ceiling above our bed, so we've had to move into the spare bedroom. and we're waiting for the insurance company to come around and look at it. We've had 3 big named storms in the space of 3 weeks. First one was a red warning. Very rare for us to get red weather warnings here. We've had loads of yellow ones. They're quite frequent in the winter, but red ones, which is, I believe, the most severe one, that's unusual. And I didn't think we'd had any damage because there was no visible damage. Then there was a bad one last week when I was at the knitting hotel, and it was really windy here because someone had to go and get their recycling because it was blowing all over the street. And then we had another one on Monday where on the news on the Tuesday, on the local news, they said twice as much rain had fallen. I think they said as normal in whole of January. And January is a wet month here. Loads of flooding all over the place. So I don't know whether the rain came in then. I don't know whether it's because of the combination of the rain and the wind being a certain direction. We have no idea. We can't see any obvious damage. There's no obvious place where it's gotten in. And there's been no more water getting in since Tuesday. So all a bit of a mystery, but it's been a bit of a stressful week because of that. I managed to rescue most of my patterns, and then I took them into the spare bedroom, finished what I was doing, and then I've lost my spreadsheet. I think I packed my spreadsheet somewhere in one of the boxes, but I can't find it. And at the moment, I can't get to one of the boxes, so that's really annoying. So I may end up next week to count them again. I don't know. No idea how long it's going to take to get this fixed. Because they're not coming to look at it till Saturday, and obviously because we're going to be away for a few days, and then I'm home for 2 days after Unravel, and then I go to Norway for 2 weeks. So it's been a bit stressful. There's also a lot of stuff happening with my father-in-law who lives locally. He'll probably be moving into sheltered housing in Scotland early in March. So been lots of stuff happening with that this week as well. So it's been a bit of a stressful week. So I'm quite surprised at how much I managed to do actually this week. But anyway, I've got my diary up now on my other phone. Unravel is 13th, 14th and 15th of February in Farnham in Surrey. And then I go to Norway after that. I'm only home for 2 days. And then 13th and 14th of March, I'm at Black Sheep Wools in Warrington in Cheshire. We're doing beaded lace knitting. Going to make this beaded lace headband. See if I can put it on. It's the seam's gone a little bit there, so I need to re-sew it. Might take this with me to Norway actually, because it's quite nice if it's a bit cold. But I don't want to wear a hat because I don't like wearing hats really. But it keeps my forehead and my ears warm. But it's got a beaded lace beaded lace pattern. So during the workshop, we'll start working on this. But if you don't want to finish it, you can just knit a swatch and call it a day. Or you can, you'll get the yarn to finish it. So you won't get this yarn because this is, I can't remember, hand-dyed Spectrum 5 maybe or something, I can't remember. And then on the other day, on the Saturday, we're doing brioche improvers. So you're going to be making my hand warmers. I originally designed these for the workshop, and then I redesigned them, if you like, with a matching cowl and released them as my twist pattern. But in the workshop, we're going to focus on the hand warmers. So you'll need to know basic 2-color brioche, just plain knit one, purl one brioche, and then we will add increases and decreases to create these kind of patterns. And this is the smallest size, which I don't know whether it will fit me or not. I think I've got it on, I don't know, is that the wrong way around? I don't know. Yeah, this is the smallest size. This, I used a self-striping yarn as the background colour. You can see it looks quite effective. I prefer a variegated or self-striping yarn as a background colour in brioche rather than as the main colour. So that's on a Black Sheep Wools. On 13th or 14th of March, there were still spaces when I look a week ago, but only like a couple for each of them. So do go and check it out. It will be linked below. And then the following week, 19th, 20th and 21st, I'm going to be at Stitch Festival in London. I think it's at the Business Design Centre. I think that's what it's called. I will actually have some free tickets for entry. I haven't got myself organised. I've had the email about it, but I hadn't looked at the conditions. So I'll do those next week in the podcast. So make sure you watch next week if you want to go and you want to win a pair of tickets. But I'm teaching on the 9th, so the workshops are not covered by those tickets, by the way. On the 19th, I'm teaching Filet crochet. Filet crochet, which is this kind of stuff. This is a very simple Filet crochet pattern. So I may have a choice of a couple of things to work on. I'm kind of working on that this week to finalize that workshop. I'm also teaching Filet crochet as a full day workshop at Black Sheep Wools in April, but that's fully booked, I think. And I'm teaching Continental knitting and how to pick up and knit button bands and 1 row buttonholes. So that's on the Thursday. Filet crochet is 2 hours and the other 2 are an hour. So if you want to perfect your finishing techniques, then picking up stitches for perfect button bands and 1 row buttonholes is really good workshop. And then on the Friday, I'm doing seaming knitted fabric. That's an hour. And that's also really good workshop. You'll learn how to do mattress stitch, rows to rows, stitches to stitches, and stitches to rows. So any kind of sewing up you will need to do will be perfect. And then in the afternoon, I'm doing a 2-hour Intarsia colorwork workshop. Intarsia is not as bad as the reputation it has. If you learn how to do yarn management properly, it's not too bad. So that's on the Friday 20th, and Saturday 21st I'm doing Continental knitting in the morning, and then I'm doing Filet crochet again in the afternoon, and then I head home again. So that's what's coming up in March and April. In March, then I'm going back to Black Sheep Wools in April, but like I said, I think that workshop is already full. This is a Filet crochet scarf I designed, which I'm going to use for my April workshop. I can't remember what I said, but you'll get this as part of the Stitch Festival workshop or not. I can't remember, but I don't think I can put it on because of my mic. But it's just like a loopy scarf like that. I just used 1 skein of Nipro Symphony Viva DK, about 200 or so meters, I think, of DK yarn. I'm working on the pattern for that now, so I can get it tech edited and everything ready for Stitch Festival. I was teaching last week at the Knitting Hotel. It was incredibly stormy. It was Storm Ingrid, I think. And when I got there, I always get there early because it's about an hour and 20 minutes-ish drive. So I always get there early in case there are problems on the road. And if I get there early, I go and park up down by the water. And sometimes I'll try and go for a walk along the seafront. Well, it was really stormy. The train line along there runs right by the sea. If you look up Dawlish on Google Maps, you'll see that between Teignmouth and Dawlish Warren, the train runs right by the sea. The only bit between you and the sea is the seawall. And the seawall got washed into the sea a number of years ago. It was when my oldest daughter was at university, and she's 30 now, so about 10 years ago. And it took a couple of years, I think, to rebuild it, and it's supposed to be better now than it was, and keep the trains there running and safe. They had to stop them on Friday evening, I think, because all these big waves and high tide, they thought it would be too risky to run trains, so they did stop the trains. But I was teaching there, and I did take some video, so you can see how the trains. I did take some videos, so you can see how the waves splash over the train tracks. And I think it's at the start of the video. You can see a building and like a bridge in the distance. That's the station, and he was going right over the station building and onto the road. So I'll pop that up in the corner here. I did film it in portrait, but I'll pop it up here. And when I came, and then it's also a little bit from the toilet and the Knitting Hotel, which is wallpapered in vintage knitting patterns, which is fabulous. And then when I left the Knitting Hotel, it didn't look like the waves were as big from what I could see, but it was really windy, and I was trying to film as I was walking back to the car, and I flicked it into selfie mode and show how windy it was, and my glasses nearly blew off my face. So I had to stop filming, get in the car. But a lovely workshop with a group of doctors, all female doctors, brilliant. This is the 3rd time, I think, or it's the 4th time I've had them all. I think it's the 3rd time I've had them all as one big group, but several of them have been in my workshops in other workshops as well, because some of them come several times a year. And 2 of them brought me gifts. So one, Claire, made this little Christmas decoration. On the back is green, but isn't that fabulous? She's very talented at loads of crafts. So thank you very much, Claire, if you're watching. And then the other Claire gave me this. she'd made one for everyone there, and she'd included me, which is really exciting. So it has a stitch marker here, a little iron stitch marker. So I might take that off and put it inside. Actually, it kind of functions a bit as a zip pull as well, but it does have a proper zip pull. So I might take that off and put it inside so it doesn't get lost. I've kept this up here so I could show you because I really like this. I have a little tin with knitting notions in that I normally take with me when I travel, but I also have knitting notions like Norway, for example. I have all the knitting notions I need there, so I don't really need to bring that tin with me, but I do in case I need stuff on the way to and from Norway. Anyway, Claire's put together these little kits for all of us who were there. A little bag notions kit. So this pouch, I've seen these kind of pouches before, but it actually has a zip, which is really useful because it stops your stuff from falling out. And the inside here is little snips, which you're guaranteed to get through security at the airport. In Europe, I think their last scissors with blades are about 6 centimeters long, which is quite long. Then there's also a cable needle. Now, I've never used these kind of cable needles before. And I must admit, I don't knit cables a lot, but when I do, I tend to not use a cable needle, so I'm not sure whether I will use that, but next time I do cables, I will try them. Then there's a mini crochet hook. I have a couple of double-ended ones. This is a single-ended one, which is really useful. And then sewing needle. This is one of these dipped ones that I haven't tried before with quite a big eye, so I can make sure I can get my yarn in. And then there are some stitch markers. Let's have a look at those. So I'll probably put some more stitch markers in here. It has got some like padlock stitch markers. They're all kind of tangled up in each other. It's got one of these, looks like a cat, which is open, so you can slide it on and off. Oh, the rest are on a little safety pin. And then it's got some of these like padlock or safety pin type stitch markers, a couple of triangles. So I'll probably put some of my small cocoa knit stitch markers in there because I do use those a lot, and maybe some more of those padlock ones. Then I'll probably take that one out because I don't really use cable needles very often. But thank you very much, Claire. I really appreciate it if you happen to be watching. This will be really useful. So I'm going to take this with me when I go to Unravel and when I go to Norway. The only thing I can fit in my tin that's not in here is a tape measure, but I can always put that in my project bag if I think I'm going to need it. Taking my tin with me next to my travel, I can just pop that in my bag. And if I'm going out for the day and I need some knitting notions with me, that fits into all my handbags because it's so small. So I really appreciate that. I love things like that. I just love knitting notions. So thank you very much to the two Claires for those really lovely presents. Let's put those away so I don't lose them in the mess in here. So really appreciate that. Do not have to bring me presents when you come for my workshops, but it's really nice. Let's look at my surprise project first, and then we'll look at the finished one. I did not expect to be able to do any work on this one, but on Sunday, I think it was, we decided to go to the cinema because the weather wasn't great. It was dry for a bit, so we drove into Plymouth, went to an area called the Barbican, which is down by the seafront, went for a walk along the seafront. It's kind of party, it turned into a bit of a party area. There's loads of pubs and restaurants and little shops there. Along the seafront, there's a row of pubs and restaurants and stuff, and they have big outdoor seating areas. And then behind, there's a street with loads of little shops and things. So we had a walk around there. Weather was lovely. I'll pop a little video up. And then afterwards, we went to the cinema, which is nearby, and we saw a film called The Housemaid. Now, it was my suggestion. I looked at the list of films. There weren't really any films I wanted to see, but there was this film called The Housemaid with Amanda Seyfried, the one who played the daughter in the ABBA film. And there was Sydney Sweeney. There was some controversy about her over a jeans ad campaign recently, wasn't it? But that was the first time I'd heard of her. And then I don't know what the male lead was, but it's very good looking. And it's a thriller. It did say they had a few twists and turns and unexpected things happening. Starts off quite sort of nice, and then it took a very dark turn. It is very violent, especially in a domestic violent kind of way. So it's not loads of like shooting and driving fast cars and that kind of violence, sort of like war that kind of thing, but there are some very serious domestic violence in it, and it does take a little bit. You kind of think one person is the guilty one, then it takes a bit of a turn at the end. And it was really good. At one point I was thinking this is too much violence, too much blood, but it is really, really good. But if domestic violence is something you don't want to watch, don't go and see it, but otherwise it's really good. So the film with the previews lasted for 2.5 hours, and I quickly thought, what knitting can I take with me? So I grabbed my stock in progress. So last time I filmed, I was down here. Now before we did go to a coffee shop, or no, we went to a pub and had lunch. That's what we did. So I knitted about 5 rounds in the pub, and then at the cinema I knitted 78 rounds. I have 56 stitches per round, which is 4,368 stitches. I think the film with the previews were like 2.5 hours. And this is toe up. My plan was to put a waist yarn in when I come to the heel, but obviously I couldn't try it on and stuff in the cinema. So I just kept knitting. So when I finish this sock, I need to work out where I want the heel to be. The problem is, because this has a wedge toe, I need to make sure that my heel lines up with the toe. So I am going to, before I go much further, I'm going to put some markers in the side here and the side here. So when I come to decide where the heel wants to go, I know where the sides of my sock are, so I can make sure that the heel goes on this side and not kind of across this side, because then it wouldn't line up with the toe, because it has to line up with the toe. If I'm going to do an afterthought heel where I don't know where it's going to go, where I just knit the tube and cut it in later, then I prefer to do a swirly toe, because that way I don't have to worry about the heel lining up with the toe, because it's a round toe. But that wasn't the plan for this one. It just happened because we went to the cinema. So surprising progress made on that one. I think on the previous pair of socks in this kind of thickness I made, I think the foot was like 56 rounds from the end of the toe to where I put the waist yarn in for the heel, so I've gone way past that. So I'm going to take this with me. I'm just going to move the marker up. I'm going to take this with me to unravel, and it might be my in-car knitting and possibly also my show day knitting, and hopefully I can finish it and finish the second one. It'd be great if I can finish them both before I go to Norway. Last week I thought that's not going to happen, but I might do now because I've got a big chunk of the first one done. I need to weigh the yarn so I don't go, so make sure I got half the yarn left for the second sock. I'm using Cyberpool Static 6, which is a 6-ply yarn, and it has 150 grams. So I need to just make sure I leave 75 grams of yarn for the second sock. So I need to weigh it as well. So that was a surprise. I didn't think I'd get that much done on that. And then I finished something. So remember last week I cast on, I didn't get very far, on this shawl. I'm holding one strand of mohair with one strand of, I thought I had a ball of the, or a cone of the sparkly yarn here, but I don't, the sequin yarn, but I don't. Here's the sequin yarn knitted with some cashmere. So that's the sequin yarn with cashmere. Now these are all from Lang, and these three, the sparkly, the sequin yarn, the cashmere and the mohair, are all the same color number, 46. They should all be the same color. Originally I tried the sequin yarn with this and I didn't like it. And then I pulled up one of these and I used one ball of the mohair 21. It's incredibly fine mohair. I tried a mohair yarn from Lang a few years ago. This is so much finer, so soft and fine, really cloud-like. It's 21 micron. I'm not very good at micron stuff, but it's how you measure wool, the fineness of wool, I think. Anyway, we'll come back to this swatch in a minute. So you can see with that, it is a lot lighter than it is with the cashmere. It is a few shades lighter with the mohair, because the mohair is a light yarn. So it's a mohair silk yarn. So it's a top-down triangle. I think I blocked it with this, so the spine is slightly wonky, but that's fine. Nobody's going to notice that when I wear it. Then at the end, there is a lace border. So I did not think I was going to finish this week because I got 2 deadlines And I must admit, I did sacrifice my second deadline. I haven't worked on that a lot over the weekend. I focused working on this so I could finish it. So I finished this on Tuesday evening, quite late. So I didn't block it. I wanted to, but I was just too tired. Went to bed, couldn't get to sleep. So I got up again about 1 in the morning and blocked it. And then yesterday I finished the pattern, sent it to my tech editor. She's already had one look at it, and I've done the others for those. So hopefully the pattern will be ready next week. My plan is to release it for Unravel and then release it online after Unravel. That's my plan. Let's just try it on. I've had to take my mic off for this. I'm going to put my mic on, put it on, and then talk again. So there are different ways you can wear these small shawls. So this is just putting it around my shoulders. Now, remember, I am quite big and I got quite broad shoulders. So if I just put it around my shoulders, that's how it kind of looks. But I would normally wear this like bunched up around my neck. I would probably wear this like this. Just bunched around my neck as a scarf. It covers my shoulders. It covers my scarf. The triangle bit, pointy bit, is on this side. Some people love triangles. Some people don't. I think a small triangle looks really nice one as a scarf. Bit of sparkle. Looks very nice. And small triangles seem to be coming back in fashion again, which is really nice to see. This is very simple. It's mostly stocking stitch, and when you get to a point where you're getting a bit bored with the stocking stitch, you add this really nice lace pattern. It's a horseshoe lace, very simple but really effective, and it just looks absolutely amazing in this yarn. Another popular way to wear it is to put the pointy bit, the V bit, at the front, and then just pull the ends around, tuck it underneath. They don't come. I don't like stuff really tight up around my neck, so I don't like it wearing it like this as much. But it works really well if you're wearing it with a coat. By the way, I'm wearing the vest I knitted in Norway last time I was there, which was knitted in alpaca silk and this sequin yarn. This sequin yarn from Lang is slightly thicker and it has a lot more sequins. The sequins are most closer together, and I just love this. The sequin yarn is not as soft as the mohair, so it's not as soft as if you just do mohair. I use 1 25-gram ball of the mohair, 3 of the sequins. The sequin yarn has, I think, 112 meters, and the mohair is either 325 or 375. Let's have a look. I got the mohair here, yes. Mohair is 375 meters per 25 gram, and the sequins are 112 meters per 25 grams. So I used 3 balls of the sequins. Does make it a bit more expensive. If sequins aren't your thing, you could knit it with just 1 ball of mohair, but it will be quite fine. Or you could hold 2 balls of the mohair together, or 1 mohair and 1 cashmere, if you wanted to. But I think 2 mohair would look quite nice. And probably would work out a bit cheaper, I would imagine. I am thinking about doing that, but I haven't got time at the moment. I don't think I'll have time to do that before Unravel. Maybe, depending on when I finish my second deadline, maybe I will have time to do it. I don't know. But my plan is to try and get some photos of it this week, or next week, so that we can get the pattern ready for Unravel, because I will have some of this yarn, and I will have the mohair in, I think, only 3 colors, because it's not cheap to buy. So I think I ordered the mohair in 3 colors and the sequin yarn in 3 colors, and I will also have some of this color cashmere. I did also order a second color cashmere because I am planning to knit something else, and that's why I placed the order for this yarn. But I thought, well, I'll order some for Unravel as well, just to test it out. But I am planning to knit something with this yarn. Hang on, where's my swatch gone? Here it is. I'm planning to use the dark purple cashmere. I don't know what number that is. Hang on, let's have a look. I've got labels in here somewhere. So I think it is 47, and then that's the corresponding color of the sequin yarn. So it's the Lang palettes. Not sure, do you pronounce it palettes or palettes, but I'm calling it palettes because it's easier to say. So these are the same color number. Obviously this is much brighter. I don't love that color on its own. It's a little bit variegated. You see that? It's obviously been dyed before it was spun, and then different colors have been mixed to create that color. That's what it looks like. I don't love that on its own, But with that, I think this is just gorgeous. If this was as bright as this, I'd be very happy, but it sadly is not. But I knitted a swatch yesterday when I finished my shawl. I used some of the leftover, because I had a little bit of sequin yarn left of that colour, so I decided to knit a swatch using this cashmere and the sequin yarn that I use for the shawl, because this is lighter, so it's easier to count. It's difficult to count your stitches, especially your rows, with that sequin yarn, but I thought these colours are lighter, so it'll be easier to count. So I knitted a swatch yesterday and blocked it so that I can measure my tension and write the pattern. I probably won't do it till next week, because I think if I do it the day or tomorrow, for one thing, I've got other things I need to do that are more urgent, and secondly, I do worry that if I do it now, I will be too tempted to cast on for it over the weekend, and I don't really have time for that because I got loads of deadline knitting I really need to do. But then I thought, because I had problems sleeping again last night, woke up about 2-3 in the morning and I just could not get back to sleep. I got up, went to the loo, went back to bed, and I just couldn't get comfortable. My back was hurting. We are sleeping on our mattress, but it's on the floor in the spare bedroom, because bed in the spare bedroom is really uncomfortable. So Simon took that one apart, but he doesn't have the right tools to take our bed apart. We can't move it without taking it apart. So we just put the mattress on the floor in the spare bedroom. But it's different sleeping on the mattress on the floor than it is on the bed for some reason. Anyway, my back was not good last night, so I got up about 2-3 in the morning. Probably about 2, went to the loo, went back to bed, still couldn't get to sleep, got up again, probably got up about 4 and gave up, and then I thought there's not really much point in going back to bed. About 5, I probably fell asleep in my chair, and then when Simon's alarm went off just after 6, I heard that, so I made my breakfast, fed the dog, let him out, did my Duolingo practice, had my breakfast, and then went upstairs and went back to bed for about an hour and a half. So that's why, otherwise I look really terrible this morning. I still think I look tired, but at least I had a bit more sleep. But while I was sitting there last night and doing a bit of knitting, I did decide to just knit a very small swatch with the 2 purple colours I'm using, because I was a bit worried about the colour of the cashmere. I don't love the dark purple cashmere as much as I love that cashmere, but I don't think this cashmere and the sequin yarn will look good together. I would like it to be the darker one, so I thought I'm just going to knit a swatch just to see what the two look like together. Now, I haven't blocked this or anything, and I don't need this to measure like tension or anything, because I can measure that from this swatch. Problem with this one is because it's so dark, it's very difficult to like count your stitches and stuff. So I thought I will just knit them together just to see what the colours look like, and I like it. I think they look good. So I am looking forward to casting this on. I don't know when I'll be casting it on. I would like to cast it on, if I could, if I didn't have this deadline, I would cast it on now and try and finish it before I go to Norway. That would be highly unlikely to happen. But also, I have got a deadline I need to finish, and I have got a lot of knitting to do on it. I need to finish it really by the end of next week. But it absolutely has to be in the post before we go to unravel, but preferably by the end of next week. I can't remember exactly when the deadline. I think the deadline is beginning of the unravel week. So I do have a lot of knitting to do, so I really need to focus on that and knit as much on that every day as I can to finish it. So I'm going to leave the sequin cashmere one till next week. I'm going to write the pattern at some point next week, and then probably cast on so it's on my needles. So when I finish the deadline one, I can switch to that project. Yes, I know I got some other ones on the go downstairs that we're just going to ignore till we come back from Norway. I have a sweater, cyberboard sweater. I've only got the sleeves left to do. I'm going to leave that now till I come back from Norway. And I'm going to take the sequin cashmere project with me. I was thinking about doing a cardigan, but then last night I was thinking maybe I should do a sweater, because then I can knit in the round. So the plan would be to knit it flat from the top down to the underarm, so the back to the underarm, the front to the underarm, then join it and knit in the round, which is what I did on this one. But I want sleeves on the other one. I don't know, I need to work out how much yarn I've actually got, how far I can get with the yarn I've got, because I only have 6 balls of the cashmere and I've already used some of it. So I have probably 5 3/4 balls, which is Did I say it was in meters? I think it's 325 meters times 6. 1950 meters. I probably got like 1800 meters, which should be fine, I think, for a cardigan. But what I'm going to do is knit a body, and then I might do slightly. Originally, I planned to do elbow length sleeves because I saw something on Instagram when I was in Norway last time, and it was a mohair and sequin yarn, and it was a cardigan with elbow length sleeves. And I thought, oh, I like that. But now I'm thinking, do I want longer sleeves? So we'll see what I feel like. I really want to finish it before I get back from Norway. If I can manage to finish this deadline project by the end of next week, so I can cast on the sequin one the week after, I might get a big chunk of it done before I leave for Norway. It would be good if I could get past the top bit, because that's where all the shaping and things happen, before we go to unravel. So when we get to unravel, I'm knitting in the round, because if I'm knitting in the round, I can do that at the show during the day, during quiet times. Last year, even though it was a really busy show, there are still quiet times at the show. And last year I knitted one whole sock during the drive on the way up, the 3 days on the show, and I didn't knit on the way home. I tried to do the heel on the way home and messed up because it was too dark. So I managed to knit a whole sock over basically 4 days. So I do get quite a bit of knitting times. And the problem with taking it to Norway with me is that the yarn comes on a piece of cardboard, the sequin yarn. And so, you know, it won't squish. It is pretty rigid. And I will need to bring, let's say 1900 divided by 112. I need to bring, oh, it says I need to bring 17 of those. I don't have 17 of those. I have 10. Okay, I need to work out how much yarn I need. I may not be able to do what I want to do, or I can start it. I don't know. Anyway, bringing 10 of those will take up a lot of space in my backpack. I travel with backpack only to Norway. I have loads of clothes there, but I still bring my medication, a few extra bits and pieces. I bring a spare top and a spare set of underwear and socks, so that if I'm delayed on the way, say my flight get cancelled and I have to spend the night in London, I have spare clothes. And just like the extra stuff I need to bring with me still takes up a lot of space. So fitting in those cones, those cardboard things with the sequin yarn, is quite difficult. So if I can knit, say, half it before we go, that would make it a lot easier. But yes, I thought I'd have 10 balls or 10 things for those pellets yarn would be plenty, but now I'm a bit worried. So how much is 112 times 10? That's 1120. Okay, need to do some maths. Maybe I need to order more. I can get that in Norway as well. It's sold quite a few places in Norway, so if I might start knitting with what I've got, and then if I run out in Norway, just order it from a shop in Norway. I know there's a shop in Oslo that sells it, so as long as they got the right colorway in stock. Anyway, this video is getting a bit long, considering I thought I didn't have anything to talk about this week, because I thought it'd be all deadline knitting. I've gone on for quite a long time. So I think we'll leave it there. Don't forget to check out Stitch Festival. Next week I'll have 2 free tickets to give away for the Stitch Festival, so I need to try and remember that. I've had the email about it, but I just haven't looked into what the details are, so we'll do it next week. And don't forget to check out my workshops at Black Sheep Wools in Warrington, in Cheshire, also in March. And if you're coming to Unravel in 2 weeks, do come and see me. I'm downstairs in the cellar bar, and I'll have lots of yarn, patterns, my books, notions, beads, lots of fun stuff. So do come in and see me. And I've also ordered some clutch frames. So if you fancy knitting any of my clutches, I'll have the clutch frames as well. So do come and say hello if you're going to be there. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Thank you very much for all the new subscribers we've had recently. My video, 6 Things I'll Never Knit, kind of went a bit viral in January and led to loads of new subscribers. I hope you're still sticking around. Tuesday video this week was, I noticed last year when I was teaching my Sailor Mittens workshop, somewhere here, stitch, there was a loose stitch that unraveled a few rows. I've no idea how that happened, because this one, as you can see, it doesn't have a thumb. I think I talked about that in the work in that video as well. So this, and this is also isn't my size, it's too small for me. So this is a sample I just used for workshops. So how on earth a stitch had managed to become loose and unravel, I have no idea, because it wasn't broken. Anyway, I fixed it, I videoed it. It was on Tuesday this week. So I'll try and remember to link that below and at the end of this video if you want to go and check it out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.